So one of the things I want to talk about is why would you want to do solar on your home? And so I put this slide together, and I'll spend a couple of minutes talking about that. What we see is that the pricing in Texas, what it costs you to put it on your home is the lowest in the country. So this is actually, it's good to be a Texan because of this. This is like numbers from Lawrence Berkeley National Labs, and they just surveyed what was the typical bid or proposal that homeowners were getting for solar, and they found that pricing is very competitive here in Texas. We still have rebates for energy efficiency as well as solar, and the Austin Energy Program, because they do have these rebates, it's a fantastic deal. And I do want to promote the idea of doing energy efficiency. It is the first kind of project you ought to be thinking about. If you haven't done that, don't rush to solar. Do the energy efficiency, get the rebates for that, and then start thinking about doing the solar project. Because basically the best kilowatt hour is the kilowatt hour that you no longer have to consume. So before thinking about producing it yourself, reduce how much you actually need. And you do have this great combination of rebates for both. Now the rebate program though, right now it's $1.25 per watt. Started out at $5. It was $1.50 per watt not that long ago. It's going to become $1 per watt at some point in the future. I don't know when exactly. We'd like to have kind of a plan, and this is one thing that we recommended so that people would know how to plan. But rebates are supposed to decline over time. Any kind of government incentives, the idea is to stimulate a market and but as the market grows, to reduce those incentives accordingly. And so I can see where it could be, $1 watt before the end of this year. I mean, it's kind of up to when Austin Energy decides to do it. Certainly going into 2015, I think it's safe to predict that we'll be no longer at $1.25, per watt. You could wait to see if maybe the pricing on equipment is going to come down, as the years go on. But be mindful that rebates are also going to be coming down at the same time. And so what they're trying to do is just kind of like track, what the proposals are, and then reduce the rebates, accordingly. There was one time that the rebate was so rich and pricing came down so quickly that there was a few months where there was sort of a run on the bank because solar essentially was free. And this is when Austin Energy kind of said, wait a minute, and they suspended their rebate program for a couple months until they could recalculate what the rebate should be and then start it up again. So what you see is government policy kind of follows the industry rather than lead the industry in terms of deciding these rebate levels. And so there can still be sweet spots like at $1.25 where you kind of want to go ahead and lock that in and do your project ahead of them deciding that it should be 25 cents less. Then the federal tax credit. This is a really excellent deal. I mean, if you are going to owe the IRS any money, you can actually get a 30% federal tax credit if you do a solar project on your home. And so this is not a tax deduction, it's actually a tax credit. And so if you have, if the IRS wants to collect $6,000 from you for your federal income tax, but you have a 30% tax credit of $3,000 because you did a solar project, then that's $3,000 that you do not pay to the IRS. It's basically $3,000 that went to your own solar project instead. And that is certainly, we expect that it will go away as planned at the end of 2016. And well, it doesn't go away entirely, it just goes from 30% to 10%. And I don't see any reason why it would stay at 30%. I think with the federal budget being what it is, that they're going to let it go ahead and run out or change from 30 to 10% at the end of 2016. So January 2017, it would no longer be 30%. And there is, I put a or sooner there because it's with any, at the federal level, I mean, they can decide to defund programs or change, tax credits at any time. So we don't, I mean, there would be quite a lot of pushback from the solar industry if they decided to end it sooner than the end of 2016. But it's not unthinkable that they might actually take that measure, right? And then you've got these innovative financing options that are available, and I haven't seen an actual TreeHouse proposal, and so I don't know the details, and I haven't tried to analyze it or compare it. I'm happy that they're hosting us today, but I'm not trying to do a commercial for TreeHouse, but I will say that it actually sounds pretty good, because they told me that they're doing like a 2.99% interest rate for the financing, if you want to do the financing, and no lien. This morning I looked at my credit union to see what it was for like home improvement loans, and it was 2.99%, but they're going to put a lien on my house. So here's a home improvement loan, the same rate as my credit union, but I don't have to go through the process of actually having a lien placed upon my home. And no cash up front and no monthly cash flow impact. So what they tell me is they try to structure the financing so that the amount of money you're paying for the loan is equal to the amount of decrease you saw in your bill, coming from Austin Energy. Okay, so this is, in the past, it's always been a hurdle to be able to come up with, the upfront cash, even with the rebate and even with a 30% federal tax credit, just having money that you could use to actually, pay for an installer to do your PV installation. So there's innovative financing options, and others, installers. It's not just TreeHouse, but there's other options, and I encourage you to see what's out there. We've got a representative from Revolve Solar. I'm sure they've got a financing program, and so the key is there's innovative financing programs out there to reduce this barrier, to you making a decision to go forward with a PV system for your home. And in Texas, the solar projects are exempt from property tax, and so that means that you do basically a $10,000 to $20,000 home improvement project that is not supposed to increase the value of your home for the purposes of property taxation. All right, so it's one of the few things you can do where they're not going to hit you with a higher appraisal and then subsequent higher property tax valuations.